It's been a rough year for liberation-era ruling parties in Southern Africa. In May, South Africa's long-time ruling African National Congress lost its parliamentary majority for the first time since the end of apartheid in 1994. And in early November, the ruling Botswana Democratic Party was trounced in elections after almost 6 decades in power. It must be said, both parties accepted the outcomes graciously.
I will respectfully step aside.
An upset to the trend came in Mozambique, perhaps, where election results showed the long-time ruling Frelimo party not only held on to power, but did so emphatically. Or did they? Opposition parties have cried foul, citing major irregularities in the electoral process. Protests have been ugly ever since. Political analysts have been trying to make sense of the extraordinary events in the region. Some are pointing to the emergence of a new demographic in the electorate who are largely unburdened by their country's historical past.
A person who was born in 1980 is 44 years old now. That person knows nothing about fighting a war in the bush, and they expect a better life. Social media and other things are showing them that there is indeed a better life that is possible. So you are not going to tell them those old stories that you used to tell them. These are people who think very differently, and they've grown up under very different circumstances.
A common feature across these countries is their young electorate. According to the Southern African Development Community, 3/4 of the bloc's population is under 35 years of age. Many of them have struggled to get jobs, and many believe the old ruling parties founded on liberation ideals are not up to the task.
The old so-called liberation parties that fought for independence and the politicians that were implicated in that old way of thinking from the 60s until 1960s until now have run out of fashion, political fashion, and they are being kicked out of power in Southern Africa, in our immediate region. The second one is that if you look at the economic data in terms of GDP growth, employment creation, household wealth creation, those statistics are dismal across the region.
So, all eyes are now on Namibia, another country in Southern Africa facing elections in 2024. This is a nation where unemployment is almost at 40% and where graduates are being forced to go it alone in many cases to generate income. Will these young people, who make up nearly half of the country's eligible voters, put their trust in SWAPO as their parents and grandparents have done for many years? Or will they vote for change as many of their generation have done across Southern Africa this year? Robert Nagila, CGTN, Nairobi, Kenya.